Today on Artist Arms, we're going to be reviewing this Chestrig from ExUmbris Designs. Alright, so this review has been a long time coming, but I really wanted to spend a decent amount of time with this Chestrig before sharing any thoughts about it, just to make sure that I had a well-formed opinion about everything. So before we dive into the functions and features of this Chestrig, I do want to let you guys know that ExUmbris did send me this Chestrig to review for the channel. Now, they didn't ask me to sell this to you guys or try and, push any features on it. They simply asked me to give my honest opinions and thoughts on it. So this is me giving my honest opinions and thoughts. So now that I've disclosed that to you guys, let's dive into this Chestrig. So this Chestrig retails for $200 as of the filming of this episode, and that $200 isn't going to include any of these side pouches, the dangler, or the front pouch on the placard. It's just the base setup of your Chestrig. So you can get this in tiger stripe, you can get this in desert tiger stripe, you can get it in ranger green, coyote brown, M81, tiger stripe, multicam black, multicam arid, tiger stripe, multicam tropic. Did I mention that it comes in tiger stripe? This is going to be all made from high quality components. This is made in the USA. It is made out of a 500D Cordura laminate that is laser cut. And so right from the get-go, you're getting materials that are gonna hold up really, really well over time, which is really nice to know. Especially if you're sinking a decent amount of money into a Chestrig, it's always good to know that it's going to hold up well, regardless of whatever you throw at it. Now, when I first got this Chestrig, there was two different things that I was initially concerned about. And the first one was how quiet is this Chestrig. And for me, a lot of my formal training is in tracking and evasion and survival. And so because of that, I'm always thinking of how quiet can I move through the woods in a rig. And initially I was a little concerned just because you've got a lot of Velcro that is in between this placard here and the main expander for this Chestrig. So I was just a little concerned that as I was moving, I was going to be hearing this Velcro kind of reconnecting and pulling apart again. However, I found that after wearing it for a while, as long as I wasn't wearing it too tight, it was definitely quiet enough. If I really tried to cinch it down and form fit it, you would get that Velcro moving around and making a little bit of noise. But if you gave it just a little bit less tension, I found that it ended up operating really quietly while still having enough tension around my body that it wasn't hard to pull a magazine out or anything like that. The other concern that I had was these straps right here. These just seemed very, very thin, especially if you're gonna be running a dangler that's packed with stuff and you've got fully loaded mags in here. It ends up being a decent amount of weight on you, and these just seemed so flimsy, and it just seemed like maybe they'd start to cut into your skin after a while. And this also ended up being a non-issue. They are very, very comfortable, even when you've got this thing fully loaded out, which was really, really great. Now, obviously, the weight will end up being dependent on how you actually build this out and what your loadout looks like, but the actual Chestrig itself has a very lightweight, smaller footprint, and so it's going to be nice and nimble and keep you very agile as you're moving around. Let's talk a little bit more about comfort, because this Chestrig does a great job with comfort. I have slept in this Chestrig, I have moved in just about any direction you can move in this Chestrig, and it is very comfortable. Even when you've got it fully loaded out and you've got a decent amount of weight riding on you, it still ends up working out very, very nicely. So with this Chestrig, you've got your placard that can accommodate 3 AR-15 mags across here. And you've got your wings on either side with the expander that allow you to add on pouches. So I've got their beer can pouch here, which is kind of a general purpose pouch for me. And I've got the slim general purpose pouch on the front of my placard here, which ends up being almost a little bit more like an admin pouch the way that I use it. And then I'm running my radio on the side, but you can always run different pouches here. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can be customizing this. You can have a Nalgene bottle on here if you want. You could just run 2 of the beer can pouches. If you want to be a little bit heavier loadout, you can also be running more magazine pouches on the sides here. One of the other things that I appreciate about this rig is that it's got these little loops on the sides of the placard. And with this, you can clip on things like gloves, you can run a Sharpie alongside your tourniquet. There's just a lot of different ways that you can start to customize how you are running your kit based on the way that they have set up the wings of this chest rig and the fact that they've got these loops here. And even in the back, there is a dedicated slot for your dangler pouch, and then a whole nother space here between the placard and the expander where you could put another wing or something like that, depending on however you're looking to customize your rig. One thing that I did notice with these shoulder straps, when I started clipping on my push-to-talk, which has sharper metal teeth on it, I started to see some fraying in some of the laser cutting on the strap. So to avoid having this harness get worn down and shredded over time, just make sure that you're using some bungees or other types of cable management solutions, just so that you're not using anything that's going to tear up some of these laser cut slots. And that way, if something is going to get worn down over time, it's just going to be a small accessory piece, and it's not going to be something that's actually a core part of your chest rig. One of the things that's great about this chest rig design is that it's so modular that it really can look like a million different things depending on how you want to run your rig. You don't have to be running a dangler pouch. I've seen people use some bungee retention and just slide it through behind this general purpose pouch and then hang a rolled rain layer underneath their rig. And I think that's a great solution. There's just a million different ways that you can run this. In fact, I even reached out to Eric at ExUmbris just to send pictures of different ways that people run these rigs, and I'm gonna pop those up on the screen just so you guys can see and get an idea of some different setups that you could be running with this type of chest rig. So the only small complaint and problem that I ran into when I was testing this chest rig out is that there is a small fastening piece between the expander here and then the placard connecting to the harness. And it's just this small little laser cut piece. I don't even know if you guys can see that very well on camera, but it's just this small little laser cut strap that goes over the top. And what I found was, if you don't have your placard up and in tight against the expander, it's going to put some undue strain on this piece as you're moving back and forth with your harness. And so the initial expander that I had on this chest rig, the piece on one side snapped because of this undue strain. And ExUmbris was great, and they sent out a replacement expander right away. And once I made sure that the placard was up tight before it was pressed back against the Velcro, I didn't have any issues with it. But it is something to be aware of so that you guys don't end up breaking the strap here because you don't have it riding high enough on your chest rig. One complaint that I've heard some people talk about with this style of chest rig is that there isn't bungee retention to go over the magazines in the placard. And I haven't really experienced any issue there. I've done handstand push-ups wearing this chest rig. The magazines aren't going to be falling out. The retention in here is quite nice. I'm not really sure how much you'd need to do to actually get them to fall out when you don't want them to. And so even though mentally it might not feel great to not have bungee retention over the top, I think functionally you're just fine without it. Overall, I really, really like this chest rig. I think it's very, very well made. The amount of modularity that there is here just opens up the world to new possibilities for however you can imagine running this kit. And the fact that the actual components themselves are made with such high quality is also really, really nice. I'd be curious to see if maybe they would find a different solution for connecting the placard and the expander together that's maybe just a little bit more robust, but that's a really small critique. Other than that initial issue that I had with the first expander, there hasn't been an issue since, and I've been using this regularly without any problems. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think there's a high value in being able to purchase good tactical gear that comes in patterns that are not standard US military. And so I really appreciate what ExUmbris does with bringing back rare camo patterns and stuff like this tiger stripe, not only for the insane levels of drip that they offer, but also just for the variety and the value of having something that is not a standard US military look. So these are all my thoughts on the ExUmbris Chestrig. It is very high quality, and if you're looking for a more lightweight, highly modular, and American-made system, I think this is definitely worth checking out.